Good afternoon now by 2 minutes, everyone. Welcome to the Ways and Means Revenue Subcommittee meeting for February 24th, 2022. We have 6 bills to discuss today, and because the bill with the lowest number has the most amendments on it, we're going to go in reverse order and take care of the easy stuff first, if that's okay with everyone. So we will start with House Bill 1151. House Bill 1151 is the Vice Chair's bill related to diabetic care products. It removes from the sales tax a list of specified diabetic care items and takes effect July 1, 2022. I have seen no amendments. Is there any questions? Let me use proper grammar. Are there any questions or is there any discussion on House Bill 1151? Delegate Charles, we're going in reverse order, so you didn't miss anything yet. We're starting with 1151. So,
thank you, Delegate Lukey. Yeah, I was finishing up a news interview on Black fathers being in their kids' lives.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's that's a reasonable reason not to be here. So.
Thank you.
All right, I will move House Bill 1151 favorable.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of House Bill 1151, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Okay. That passes unanimously. Let's move to House Bill 492. House Bill 492 is Delegate Johnson's bill, which exempts from the sales and use tax a specific list of oral hygiene products, including toothbrushes, toothpaste, tooth powders, which I didn't know was a thing, but apparently is a thing. Mouthwash and dental floss from the sales and use tax. It also would take effect July 1st, 2022. Are there any questions or is there any discussion on House Bill 492? Or is there a motion?
Move favorable. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of House Bill 492, please signify by raising your hand or saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. House Bill 492 receives a unanimously favorable report. Moving to House Bill 364. So there is an amendment with this one. House Bill 364 is Delegate Henson's bill, which expands the sales and use tax exemption on medical devices. There's an existing sales and use tax exemption on medical devices. This makes sure that a couple specific items are included under that sales and use tax exemptions, in particular, thermometers, pulse oximeters, and blood pressure monitors, all of which are used by many families, but particularly by the elderly or people with serious health conditions. The amendment that I'd like to propose on this bill is really clarifying more than anything. It would clarify the tax treatment of certain filtering face piece respirators, or what we refer to as masks, like N95 masks. It would clarify that those are actually not taxable under Maryland law. So I would move the amendment to add masks to the bill.
Second.
Any discussion on that amendment? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Okay. The amendment is approved unanimously. On the bill as amended, is there any discussion or a motion?
Move favorable.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand or saying aye.
Aye.
I don't know if you guys are catching it, but I'm going back and forth between those two, and there seems to be no difference in reaction. Bill passes unanimously. We're moving on to House Bill 288. So the next two bills are kind of joint bills between Delegate Jones and Delegate Crosby. House Bill 288 is the one that Delegate Crosby is the primary on. This would exempt from the sales tax the sale of baby bottles, baby bottle nipples, and infant car seats, and takes effect as the other bills do on July 1st, 2022. Is there any discussion or a motion?
Move favorable.
We've got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand or saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. That bill is unanimously favorable. House Bill 282 is the one Delegate Jones is primary on. This is the legislation that would exempt infant diapers from the sales and use tax. Members will recall adult diapers are already tax-free, but infant diapers are not. So this bill would fix that and would also be effective on July 1st, 2022. So is there any discussion or a motion? Delegate Charles just gave a TV interview about fatherhood. You want to move this one, Delegate Charles?
I would. I'd like to move the bill.
Okay.
I like to second it because I know the cost of diapers because of my grandson.
Mm.
I forgot how much they cost.
They're expensive. They're expensive.
Yes, they are.
Very expensive. Very.
Yeah, between formula and diapers, $2,000 a month.
Yep. So we've got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand or saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. That also is unanimous. So House Bill 282 is a unanimously favorable recommendation to the committee. Now, House Bill 2. There are a number of amendments to House Bill 2, and there's actually, I think, 3 separate pieces. So just to remind the members, House Bill 2 is the Work Opportunity Tax Credit Bill. It creates a state match for the federal Work Opportunity Tax Credit Program, which incentivizes businesses to hire from populations that have significant challenges finding employment, including people with disabilities, people on public assistance, returning citizens, veterans, et cetera. There's going to be 3 amendments that we're going to discuss. One, I'm going to have George explain, and that's a series of amendments that I've been working on with George, and George has been working on. Well, I take no credit. George has been working on them with the comptroller's office, and I think pretty much didn't sleep last night to get them done in time because George is amazing. So he'll explain those, and then we have one written and I believe one verbal amendment that we need to consider from Delegate Polakovich-Carr. So I will go to George first to explain the committee amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As noted by Delegate Lukey, these are several technical and clarifying amendments with respect to the proposal. First, the amendments clarify that the credit can be claimed only with respect to wages that are paid to individuals who are employed in the state. Second, it alters the calculation of the credit by reducing the match from 100% to 50% of the federal credit claimed with respect to those Maryland employees. It would also provide that an organization that's exempt from taxation under 501c of the Internal Revenue Code can apply for the credit as a credit for payment to the comptroller for withheld wages of the organization's employees. This is similar to 2 other credits in the tax code, those for employing individuals with disabilities, as well as credit for certain transportation incentives or costs that the employers pay to encourage commuting or using mass transit. An additional change is with respect to an existing subtraction modification. Currently, if you are at the federal level, if you claim the credit under Section 51, you cannot deduct those wages for which you're receiving the credit as a business expense. This state has a separate deduction that permits that. The amendment would reduce that deducted amount by whatever the amount of the credit that you're allowed to claim under the bill is. And then lastly, I do need to refine the credit in that, or the amendments that we shared earlier, in that there needs to be an additional clarification with respect to the limitation under B2. Currently, as drafted, the credit is the lesser of that percentage of the federal credit or your tax liability. With the nonprofit organizations, they would not have any tax liability. So we want to make clear that that limitation does not apply to nonprofit organizations.
All right, questions on that amendment? I know there was a lot of technical pieces there. Delegate Feldmark?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I guess I just want to clarify when it comes to nonprofits. So a nonprofit can apply the credit to taxes that were being withheld. That's the other amendment. Is that right?
Yeah, that is.
Am I
the-
mixing? I guess the piece you said about the nonprofit tax liability
Is
kind of
part of this
confused
amendment.
me with the other. So, but there's the other amendment on nonprofit. So how do those?
Yeah, so
Wait.
this is with respect
Okay.
to that new subsection C that we would be inserting on page
Mhm.
2. And so in order to permit a nonprofit to be able to effectively benefit from the credit, just as they benefit at the federal level,
Right.
we need to make clear that that limitation under B2, as far as that, since right now, as drafted, the credit is calculated as either being a portion of the federal credit or like not to
Or you're
exceed
not.
your state tax liability. But if they
Right.
have
But if
no
your tax liability is zero, right? Okay.
correct.
So
Okay.
the bill as introduced nonprofits couldn't take advantage of it. So this amendment will both authorize them to take advantage of it in the one case, because the federal law only allows them to use it in the case of veterans. It doesn't allow them to use it in all the groups. So
Got it. Okay.
in that case, nonprofits would have an avenue to make use of it, but we needed to do some additional clarifying amendments.
Okay. Okay. Sorry. Thank you.
Yep. Are any other questions or on that amendment? Okay, I will move that amendment.
Second.
All those in favor of the first amendment, please signify by raising your hand or saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. I will turn now to Delegate Polakovich Carr for, I guess you want to start with the written one or the verbal one?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So in the end, it's kind of neither, after talking to George a little while ago. Okay, so because this bill is piggybacking off of an existing federal credit, this bill does not actually allow for companies to carry forward the new state credit to any other or carry back to any other tax years, but the federal credit does. It allows a 20-year carry forward and a 1-year carry back. And I just want to make sure that there isn't going to be a situation where a company that already is receiving the federal credit and is carrying that credit forward is now able to then start claiming the Maryland credit when they haven't actually hired anyone new. So if they claimed it 5 years ago and have been carrying it forward, that they don't start getting, basically double dipping and getting the new state credit, even though they've done nothing new. So the amendment that George circulated a little while ago this morning was what I had requested from the amendments office. However, after talking to George, he is suggesting a different approach that I think is just a little clearer in terms of how that amendment should be structured. And I'm going to defer to him to explain the new language.
George?
Thank you, Delegate. So I would still incorporate the phrase during the taxable year with as a modifier to the wages that are paid or incurred with respect to these individuals, barriers to employment. That would track the federal language. In addition, in order to address the carryback and carry forward provisions that with respect to the federal credit that Delegate Polakovich Carr has highlighted, I'd recommend that we specify that for purposes of the piggybacking, that it's not with respect to or not with regard to amounts of the federal credit that the taxpayer has carried back or carried forward to another taxable year under section 39 of the Internal Revenue Code.
So that seems, just my editorializing, that seems entirely in keeping with the intent of the bill. So Delegate Polakovich Carr, do you want to move that as a verbal amendment?
Yes, so moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions about this amendment? So again, essentially what it will do in effect is prevent a company from taking the credit years after they've done the hiring. It'll make sure that if people take the credit, they take it in the year they actually hire someone. So.
Makes sense.
All those in favor of the amendment, please signify by raising your hand or saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that amendment passes. And now we have the bill as amended. So I'd like to move the bill as amended.
Second.
Is there any discussion on the bill as amended? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hands or saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. House Bill 2 has a favorable report. Excellent. We just dealt with 6 bills in 15 minutes. That was fantastic. We will be back, I think, next week to our regularly scheduled programs. We'll be back on Tuesdays at noon. There are a number of bills that I'm looking at bringing up either for discussion or for voting. If you have any particular bill you have questions in or are interested in, please reach out to me. I'm happy to talk at any time. We're still waiting on word back from the appropriators on the new START Act, which is why that hasn't circled back around yet. We're still waiting on some negotiations between the House and Senate sponsors on the local emergency bill that we had discussed briefly. But I will get a potential agenda of bills out to you all hopefully by tomorrow. So, any questions before we conclude? All right.